Hi, how are you? Glad to have you. Today we're gonna talk about 5, 6, 7 things that transtrenders all have in common. I'm gonna try to make this rather short. Y'all feel free, y'all psychologists out there, y'all feel free to quote me. I don't even give a fuck at this point if you plagiarize me because all these things need to be said and they need to be addressed. So plagiarize away, but I did say them first. So, all trans trenders have these characteristics in common, and I'm gonna just spell them all out for you. And yeah, okay, it'll become very clear shortly. So, all of them have an obsession with authority. Namely doctors and hospitals and that sort of institution. They want approval from doctors. They want drugs, prescriptions from doctors. They are obsessed with science, even though science doesn't fucking say that it's possible to have a female brain if you're a male, or a male brain if you're a female, y'all. That's not possible, and science does not fucking support that bullshit. And just because you read a goddamn listicle on BuzzFeed.com doesn't make it true. Doctors are extremely highly regarded in society. I don't really think that's fair considering how bullshit Western medicine is. But they are extremely well regarded. They are extremely highly regarded. They are seen as an authority on health. They are seen as an authority on, a lot of things, even though that's not necessarily true. So transtrenders all have an obsession with authority, and a lot of transtrenders will tell their parents that they're trans, right? They a lot of the times though their parents don't have the language to explain why they have a problem with that. They have a problem with that, but they can't explain why that is, and that's because they don't fucking have radical feminism. And that's also kind of factors into this one, number 3, but we're going to get to that later. But so, the kids often then say, oh, well, take me to the doctor, and then the parents take the kid to the doctor, and then the doctor says that they have gender dysphoria. And then they're supposed to be listened to, and then they're supposed to get this, that, and the other treatment. And it's just, it's fucked up, and it's wrong. And just because doctors are seen as an authority does not mean that they are always right. Okay? Y'all look up thalidomide. Y'all look up Dr. Mengele. Okay? That shit is bullshit. And those were doctors. Okay? Doctors did those malpractices. God, so dumb. Okay, so number 2 is bodily insecurity. Everyone is insecure about their body to some degree. I don't care who you are. Everyone is. Like, everyone has something on their body they wish was different. Everyone, is shy about showing some sort of body part or wearing certain clothes or whatever the fuck. That's everyone. Okay? That isn't just you. You're not special for not liking your breasts. You're not special for being uncomfortable with your womanly figure, okay? No. But the transtrenderism totally focuses on it, and it hones in on it, it hyper focuses on it, and it even, makes a goddamn fucking scene of it, right? They're like, I just can't deal, I have to wear a binder, like, incredibly dumb shit, right? Just incredibly dumb. But that's a major pillar in the transgender life. Okay, so number 3 is childhood trauma. And a lot of people, if not most people on this planet, have some sort of childhood trauma. But clearly, these people, everyone manifests it differently in adulthood, if they do even, in fact, manifest it in adulthood. And these types of childhood trauma can all be different, or they can all be similar. So these types are sexual. They are, so sexual trauma, childhood sexual abuse. Peer related, something that happened at school, multiple things that happened at school. Parental, your parents can, impose their sexist beliefs upon you. And then also environmental, even if you're not, even if your parents don't ever, even if you're never sexually abused, your parents never hit you, your parents never said the wrong thing to you, like telling you, oh, you're a girl if you're playing with that, oh, you're a boy if you're playing with that. Environmental factors is very prominent. It's very overarching. It's very, it can be very serious. Young Turf kind of described that, I think, in her Peak Trans video. She talks about her ex who became trans, and he just was in a very, 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 very extremely sexist, environment. And that caused him to, I don't think he was physically abused. I don't think he was sexually abused, but his environment, all his aunts and uncles, all his family friends were just extremely sexist, and that clearly fucks with children. Okay, so number 4 is a rite of passage. Now, listen to me. Anglo folks are, well, everyone. I guess I would say America in general, because even if you have a bat mitzvah or you have a quinceañera, you're not an adult at 13, nor are you an adult at 15. But anyway, we as a culture are missing a rite of passage that tells you you are a man, you are a woman, you are an adult. We don't have any sort of adequate ceremony for that. We don't have any sort of cultural reference. Even if you are, you turn 18, that's not really an accomplishment. That's not really, an event. Or you get your driver's license. That's also not much of an accomplishment. That's not, there's no celebration really attached to that is culturally recognized. So we're lacking that as a culture, and transtrenders love to latch on to that aspect of transtrenderism because they see, their bodily mutilations as rites of passage, as becoming men or becoming women. That shit dumb, but it's definitely there. Okay, 5. So 1 through 5 are really the most important ones, and 6 and 7 are kind of afterthoughts, but 5 is social media addiction. I have not met a transtrender who didn't put their pictures of themselves, of their progression on, testosterone online. And I'd like to say this, is that there are about 3 to 1 TIFs to TIMs. There are about 3 to 1 females with gender dysphoria than there are males with gender dysphoria. And that is because no one wants to grow up to be a woman. In a patriarchal society, are you kidding me? No one wants to do that. People don't want to grow up to be a woman. They want to grow up to be a man. They want to have male privilege. And that's why. That's why these young girls are becoming trans, as they see that being a woman sucks and they would rather have male privilege, and so they become male. Or they try to become male when that's not fucking possible. But yeah, it's clearly a social media addiction, because they also use that, their surgeries, right? Their bodily mutilation surgeries as a rite of passage. They're like, oh, here I am getting my top surgery. Oh, here I am getting phalloplasty. That bullshit. Yeah, that's their rite of passage. And do you even trans bro if you don't put it on social media? Do you even trans bro if you don't put it on Instagram, if you don't put it on Facebook, if you don't put it on YouTube? I'm pretty sure the answer is no. because that's the whole point, is that they want this weird attention. They get a high from people clicking like. They get a high from people saying, "Oh my God, why are you so much prettier than me? Oh my God, you look like such a man. I never would have guessed you were a female." That bullshit. They get a high off that shit. It's clearly an addiction. Come at me. Okay. Another aspect of the social media addiction is this, and I'm sure y'all have experienced this if you've ever interacted with Transtrenders. They are obsessed with telling their stories. They are obsessed with telling their story of how they came out as trans. They're obsessed with telling their story of how they came out to their parents, how they came out to their family. They're obsessed with telling their story of how they came out as non-binary, like that bullshit, okay? And I have met a number of gays and lesbians who, if you specifically ask them, are happy to tell you about how they came out. Or I've also definitely encountered them kind of just offhandedly mentioning it and saying like, "Oh, well, when I came out, blah blah blah," but they don't like they don't like tell the story. Like, I see all these Transtrenders on YouTube, and I even hear them in real life being like, "The day I came out was May 19th, 2015. I was wearing a red shirt with a blue design on it, and it was a Tuesday, and I went to my friend's house and I told..." Just like they say it in such detail, in such a fucking stupid way, and they act like it's the goddamn second coming of Christ because, oh, they're trans now. And it's an obsession with the concept. It's an obsession with the idea. It's clearly not, they're just not in reality, honestly. You know, when you're obsessed with telling a story like that, that means you're not thinking about the reality of it. You get off on this story. You get off on how many people click like on your bullshit. You're not understanding the gravity of reality and what you're actually doing to yourself. And the fact that people are, hitting like on their disgusting chest mutilation pictures is only fueling that fire in a bad way. I was going to say something else. Well, okay. So, a lot of them can only relate. I told you that 1 through 5 are really the most important. 6 and 7 are kind of afterthoughts. But so they only relate to each other, and that's why they have to have these really tight-knit social groups, because they can't relate to normal people. That's why they call normal people cis, because that others them and that makes them put on their pedestal and feel special. And that also just makes the group dynamic, different. Like, oh, cis people this, oh, cis people that. Because they're so special and trans, right? They need to other the cis people. The fuck? Okay. That's a problem, though. You can't only relate to each other. Come on. Okay. Number 7 is probably the most annoying one, and it's also the one that I get the most exposure to, unfortunately, though I'm not even surprised. Obsession with opposition. They are obsessed with heckling people who disagree with them. They are obsessed with TERFs. Why would they be? They purposely seek out TERFs, hashtag TERFs like me. They purposely harass people online, and it's always just online, almost exclusively online. And I've never seen anything like it. Plenty of groups in real life don't get along. For, they have ancient beef or whatever the fuck. But I don't see these people using the internet so adeptly and in such a fucking specific way to hate on each other, right? I'm going to use a kind of silly example, but Transtrender is in fact really silly, so this, I guess, kind of fits. While ago, when Harry Potter and Twilight were popular, there was a little bit of opposition there. The Twihards thought that Twilight was better than Harry Potter, and the Potterheads thought that Harry Potter was better than Twilight because it is. But like, you know, there was some fun poked at one another, right? But they weren't like Twihards weren't like going up to Harry Potter fans on the level that Transtrenders go up to TERFs and saying, "Oh my god, you're so fucking dumb, you dumb Potterhead bitch, go die. You're uneducated. Like Twilight. Hashtag Twihard." They weren't doing that bullshit. And Harry Potter fans weren't doing that bullshit to Twilight fans either. Like, it is a silly internet sensation. Transtrenderism is. And it's gonna fucking stay that way. And like, obviously this shit has only gotten extremely a million times worse with the advent of the internet, because the reason these kids are even becoming trans is because they have access to the internet. Is because they have access to these really toxic websites like Tumblr and YouTube, where they find all these other people with gender dysphoria and like just run with it. And that's really scary, and that's really bad, because young kids are so impressionable, right? That's not what we want them to do. That is bad. That is something we should stay away from, you know? And like, it's just so aggravating. Okay, I wanted to read something else though. I don't know if y'all know about Walt Heyer. I've mentioned him in a number of my other videos, but I'm just gonna talk about him 1 second. He was saying in a video I watched recently that a lot of transtrenders have comorbid disorders. I'm going to read you a list of very popular or very common comorbid disorders. So those are anxiety and mood disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, major depressive disorder, conduct disorders, post-traumatic stress disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And those people who do have comorbid disorders like that are more likely to have substance abuse issues, namely alcohol, tobacco, opioid stimulants, ganja, hallucinogens, and prescription drugs. Oh my gosh, like the prescription drugs that the authority prescribes them. Like the fucking goddamn drugs they're given to fucking shoot up with. Like, yeah, that would be a problem, and that would be a drug addiction. So that's just all I wanted to talk about there. And don't encourage transtrenderism, and just keep these in mind, you know, if it comes up.